Hello, everybody. I think we're live. The lights went red, so I'm going to assume we're live. Welcome back. We were not here last week because St. Patrick's Day, and here at From Stone Forge, we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, to which we very much did. I don't even remember St. Patrick's Day, which makes me think we did it right.
I had Irish whiskey and a couple of Magners and sat at home and played video games because I did not want to drive.
Smart. I considered Ubering down to Nikki's, but that would have required like putting on clothes that you can go out in public in. I was like, no, we're not putting on pants today. So yeah, we didn't go out. We just stayed home and watched movies and had a few drinks. So yeah, so today I think we're gonna milk. I can't talk today. We're gonna make a belt buckle. I haven't made a belt buckle in like a year or so, and it was just like a practice run. Like, hey, is this a thing I can make? And it came out like that big. Like, well, that's not super helpful. So we're gonna try and make a belt buckle tonight. This is not a way I've seen it done before. I just had this weird idea in my head about how to go about doing it. So we're just gonna test it and see if it works. I honestly don't know. I've never seen one made like this before. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with marking about 8 inches on our metal here so we can get it hot and cut it off. Then work with that. So that's about 8 inches there. We'll get that marked. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to smack it on the side of the anvil so it will put a little dent in there, so I'll be able to find it when it comes out of the fire. Let's find a sharper edge. Sorry, just went off. There we go. We doing all right over there, guys?
Kind
Your
of.
screen went out again.
Stream is still going, but the screen's not working.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
We had to turn the laptop back on. I think it just turned off on us. Is that thing it's plugged into turned on?
I believe so.
It's an old laptop, so I don't think the battery would have lasted for as long as it's been on without it being plugged in.
I think the charger clock got unplugged it.
Oh, that will happen.
Which means we need to build a cheap computer out here for streaming purposes.
I might be able to just acquire one and not have to build one.
Even better.
But I don't like the idea of an LCD screen out here in the winter. And I don't want to have to cart an LCD screen back and forth.
You just get one of those ones that are about the size of a tablet, mobile screens. You can find a 10-inch mobile screen for like $200-300 now.
Yeah, maybe get one of those USB dealies. Plus, it's summer, so it won't freeze during the summer.
Yeah.
Just have to cart it back in. We got a CRT TV in the house, so we could just hook it up to that.
Does the lid freeze?
No, because it's not a liquid crystal screen. That's a LED.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't need to go full.
You'd have to ask somebody in IT.
Come on, wake up.
Hey, Brittany, you're in IT. Will no LED screen freeze?
I mean, we don't necessarily need the definition of an OLED. We can just go with an LED screen.
What do they put in cars? Those don't freeze.
Most of those are LED. Some of them are OLED. Some of them are liquid crystal. But it's not a typical liquid crystal because it's designed to
is my mark. Oh, that's awesome. I knew I should have made it deeper, but what are you gonna do? There she is. Hiding underneath all that scale. I'm just gonna put a deeper gash in it and not mess up my hot cut too much with it being cold. Maybe I'll find some steel in one of these live streams. I'll do making a hot cut so I can replace this dang thing. I won't harden it or anything, but I think it'd be nice to get a little bit better steel than rebar. Oh, by the way, Levi's back for the stream.
Yay!
Prodigal son returns. Off gallivanting around in Florida for some ungodly reason.
Gotta follow the money.
Well,
Last time I was here, that bucket was still ice.
Yep.
yeah.
Well, and, with that, at least we found out that, the
Bottom didn't pop out.
Yeah.
the piece was still kind of on fire, but didn't set ablaze to anything.
Oh yeah, the fireproof mat that
Yeah.
kind of caught on fire. Yeah. Thought about getting like a couple of chunks of diamond plate and screwing it into the floor, but that'd be expensive as heck.
Around $50. Diamond plate doesn't have to be real thick. I'd still probably leave that mat underneath it just for insulation.
Not a bad idea. But yeah, basically just this entire section, like this half of the shop.
Makes sense.
Instead of just having like a 10 by 10 plot, like just take it, like wall to wall carpet. But not carpet. That'd be a bad idea out here, especially with how much I drop stuff. I am not going to go swinging my hammer on an anvil with my hot cut still hanging out.
Good way to lose fingers.
I'd rather not lose any fingers. I need those for the typing.
Yep, she's dead, June.
She's dead.
Yeah, either that or this half of the power bank's not working.
Try plugging it into the yellow box. So what I was doing there, I guess I should talk about what I'm doing. Basically, knocked it square. I'm just going to draw it down to about half the parent size material. The general plan is with a straight stick, right? Put two 90-degree bends in it, and then over the horn, bend the center, and then they'll overlap, and then weld them, and then you get a little D-ring shaped belt buckle. It's the general plan. So that's what we're working on. Talking is fun. Oh, we're back?
Yep.
The stream still streaming?
The stream's still streaming.
Nice. How do you know? Watch it on your phone?
Can't really see too much with my phone. I still haven't replaced my phone yet.
Okay, that's why I hadn't heard from you, because your phone was off being repaired or something.
No, you sent me that text message a while back, and then I just totally forgot to respond because I was trying to lay down and go to sleep when I came in. I need to get better about leaving myself notes.
Leaving yourself what?
Notes.
I just respond when I read it, so I don't have to remember it.
Yeah, that would make sense too.
So how are things going down in Florida?
Pretty good. Should be 2 more trips before the office space is 100% done. And then sometime between now and 3 months from now, I'll wind up moving down there.
3 months.
Yeah.
A month ago, it was in a month.
Yeah, that's what he was originally wanting. And then I told him my requirements for me moving down there. I told him you get me a 2-bedroom house and a shop that can fit a lift and it has 1,500 square feet. And I'll move down there. He said, okay. It's going to take me a little while to find it. So I'm waiting for him to find that. The next time I go down to Florida, I'm going to be driving the Toyota down there.
Right on.
Assuming I get the needle fixed anyways.
So I saw an image on the internet the other day. I thought it was an interesting concept. If you were to design Mount Rushmore, there's video games and not old dudes that, founded the country, what would you put on your video game Mount Rushmore? Or who, rather?
Doom Guy.
Yeah, good one. I didn't think about that one.
Yeah, he's been around forever. Probably Mario,
Of course.
because that's another iconic one. Probably a hot take, but I put Kerrigan on there.
All right.
Throw back to some of the original RTS games.
So would it be Kerrigan or would it be Queen of Blades?
Oh, probably again, just because putting on there to push for people.
Something I would recognize it. I don't think that's Kerrigan.
That's awesome. Master Chief. How about yours?
I hadn't thought it all the way through yet, but definitely there would be Master Chief, Mario. I really like your Doom Guy edition. I didn't think about Doom. I do think Kerrigan's pushing it, but Queen of Blades, probably recognizable. I think maybe Bowser.
That's 2 from the same genre, though.
All right, so let's swap out Bowser for Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. You look like you have thoughts on this.
No, my issue is I get fixated on different games, so I kind of get stuck in the same. And if we're talking about like popular video games amongst like everybody, I don't know who I would put on there.
San Andreas or Vice City main character guy. I can't think of his name from Grand Theft Auto. One of those two. The thing from Metroid.
Oh, Samus would be a good one.
Thank you. Yeah, I could not think of her name. Though, if you wanted to skip out on Kerrigan, do a Space Marine from StarCraft. I think that'd be a good one. Oh, and naturally an Orc from Warcraft. Not World of Warcraft, but OG Warcraft.
Back when Warcraft was an RTS.
A top-down RTS.
Black Sheep Wall, man.
What sucks, and I feel bad for Warcraft, but I had discovered StarCraft. And I showed my buddy, I'm like, look at this game, this is freaking awesome, blah, blah, blah. He's like, this is just like Warcraft, but in space. I'm like, what's Warcraft? He's like, oh, dude, hold on. And he put on his skates and left my house. And then like 10 minutes later, came skating back over to my house with the disc in his hand. He's like, let's play this. Like, okay. So he threw Warcraft in. And we played Warcraft for like 10 or 15 minutes. Like, this is the exact same game. But StarCraft is way more fun. Swap, and I never went back to Warcraft ever again.
I played so much of both of those.
Yeah, I am. I got the shareware version of StarCraft first. I got it as like a birthday present or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it was only like the first like 6 levels of StarCraft. And I played those first 6 levels probably 1,700,000 times while I was saving up my allowance so I could go buy the full version. And then my life was pretty much over after that. Like spent all my free time playing StarCraft.
Yeah, I get that. I still play StarCraft too.
I haven't played that in years. Alright, let's make a 2-inch mark so I can bend that 2 inches. Yeah, they had the map creator on StarCraft so you could make your own maps. And I spent so much time creating a map and all the triggers and all the stuff, and called it Heroes Last Stand, and I took heroes like Jimmy Raynor and Kerrigan and I can't think of the other characters' names, but they were in corner bases, and then you got a corner and you had to build up, and then you could destroy all of their base and all of their army, but if their hero was still alive, they were still in the game. So you had to kill the hero for it to actually trigger the end.
So you essentially turned StarCraft into, what was it called? The people who are trying to remake it as a free game, it's called Beyond All Reason now, but I can't think of the original name of the game. That's gonna fun.
So, at the beginning of StarCraft, it'd be like the the talking heads. And it was like a Teams call, and they would discuss the mission. I wrote out a script and got the animations timed out right. And I had my friends come over and read the script into my microphone so I could record it. So when you would start the game, you would get the characters talking to each other, and then like started off and started playing. What was it? Smooth Criminal. One of the heroes comes on. He's like, "Hey guys, let's have some music." Blah, blah, blah. And then Smooth Criminal came on, and then Jimmy Raynor, the guy that drove the motorcycle thing, he's like, "Nope, want to listen to something better." And it's like static, and then it went into Lowrider, and it would just play the entire song of Lowrider while you were playing. Like I had so much fun putting that together. I spent forever working on that.
That's awesome. Yeah. Beyond all reason, it's based off of Total Annihilation.
I don't know either of those games.
Beyond all reason's a lot of fun. It's a top-down RTS. But essentially, as long as your commander is alive, then you can attempt to rebuild even if your base is entirely destroyed.
It sounds like exactly what I did.
Yep. But this can have 16 versus 16 groups.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got it all worked out. I'm gonna draw that taper down a little bit more. My buddy Ty was big into StarCraft back then too, and invited him over one day. I'm like, okay, you're not allowed to use cheat codes, but here you go, have fun. And I sat back and he grinded on that forever and ended up losing at the end. And he played it several times, I played it several times, and none of us could ever beat it. He's like, you might want to dial down the difficulty on those guys. I was like, nope, we just got to get better at this.
Just drop in Protoss and make a fuck ton of carriers and then swarm the map.
Well, that was not a strategy I knew back then, and I was mostly always playing Terran when I played.
I mean, Terran still have battleships.
But those battleships couldn't do anything against a swarm of carriers. I had a really good, I don't know about really good, but I had a pretty solid strategy back in the day. I would build 4 command centers. Once I got the whole base up and running and I had a standing army, I build 4 command centers with the nuke silo on all of them. And then I'd get a couple of small squads of ghosts. And I would go park a bunch of tanks on like the left side of their base and just start sieging and just lobbing, like just cannon fodder, right? If I lost 100 tanks, who cares? I just kept pumping tanks in. And while they were distracted with the tanks, I'd sneak the ghost in, cloaked, and set nukes at strategic parts, and then just sit back and wait. And then you'd see and then annihilate their base. It's like, got it. You guys can't see it, but Brittany is looking at us right now like, guys, you need to change the subject. Nobody cares about StarCraft. I think I saw something, speaking of StarCraft, I think I saw something online where they're getting ready to reboot Starship Troopers.
Oh, lordy. That will either go really well or really horribly. There's not going to be much in between.
And it's going to be hard to tell.
Yep.
Because the current Starship Troopers is really good and really horrible at the same time. If you get it, it's funny and awesome. If you don't get it, it's a terrible movie. Most people don't know that that movie is supposed to be satire, not like a real sci-fi movie. No, it's a political satire movie.
Not quite as much of a satire as Spaceballs. Well, maybe just as much, just in a different way.
I'd say that's a parody. I would say Starship Trooper is Blazing Saddles in space.
I'd like to say you're wrong just for sake of argument, but I can't.
Another fun fact, RoboCop is also a satirical movie, right? It's not supposed to just, oh, what do you got?
Josh is asking about the Smooth Criminal. Was it the original Michael Jackson, or was it the Alien Ant Farm?
Josh, or is it just say Josh?
Josh Bolin.
Hey Josh, how you doing, man? Naturally, OG Michael Jackson. At this point in time,
Because he was too old, the Alien Ant Farm version wasn't out.
yes, Alien Ant Farm hadn't shown up yet, so it was the only version of Smooth Criminal.
I think they were out, they just hadn't made that yet. I think they started in like 96.
It's sad why they never did why they were a one-hit wonder. It's really sad. Their bus got into an accident and the drummer died.
I didn't know that.
So that's why they never did anything ever again, because they're like, oh, well, we're done. That looks too big. So yeah, RoboCop, again, another satirical movie. It wasn't supposed to just be like an action adult movie that got marketed to kids. It was supposed to be a satirical movie talking about, you know, the corruption of police and corporations taking over entire cities, yada, yada, yada. They were afraid, like the censors were worried, that they went a little bit too hard with the RoboCop, who was supposed to be a cop, an upstanding, do right, was like shooting guys in the junk and like just walking in and laying waste to people without any due process. So they were worried that cops would be upset about that, you know, giving them a bad image. So they scheduled a showing with a whole bunch of different cop shops, and the reception was overwhelmingly positive. The cops were like, dang, this is awesome. We wish we could do this. It's like, dude, you're playing into the premise of the movie. So yeah, they didn't think the cops would like it, and they loved it.
Josh says that got dark quick. I'm assuming that's in reference to the end of Alien Ant Farm.
Oh, perhaps. Who said that?
Josh.
Oh, I thought you said Jeff. Like, I don't know any Jeffs.
Yeah, you do.
Do I know a Jeff? Oh, well, that Jeff wouldn't be jumping in there.
You know too. And yeah, you're right.
See, that's how am I doing that? I've done that twice now.
And your laps are not the same direction.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened either. It's gonna be one of those nights, guys. Let's get hot and do something with it. I don't know. Josh, if you are still there, this shirt will be going on the shop very soon. So if you want one of these, keep checking back at the shop. I didn't like the other shirt so much, so we wanted something better.
I need to get one of those before I move.
I say I'm pretty sure when we got those shirts, we grabbed one for you.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you.
They're getting so. Let's just wing it and see how close we can get. Closer? We didn't even measure that one. Cool. If you eyeball everything will look good to the eyeball. If you want it perfect, just make it perfect. I think I'm borrowing that from somebody. I can't remember who.
He says he's gonna check for those shirts.
Thanks, buddy. How many viewers we got going on there, everybody?
I think it's just Josh right now.
Hold on. Glad to have them. There we go. All right, now for the real fun.
We actually get to bend in the middle.
Let's see. And I know I'm a little bit wonky, but when I bend it over, it's going to get really wonky, so we'll just sort it out then. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Yeah, so we'll just see how that goes. So yeah. But yeah, good old StarCraft.
Gonna have to set up a game night with you when I'm out of town. That way we can play something. Maybe I'll drag you on to Beyond All Reason because it's free,
That's my favorite price of things.
right?
Heck, I haven't fired up my gaming rig since I started my new job. Because it was like, heck, I need these cables to plug into my work computer so I can get my monitors going. Because I didn't want to go find other cables, so my gaming rig's unplugged from the monitor, so I gotta find some HDMI cables to plug it into the other port on the TV. Yes, ma'am?
I have a handful of HDMI cables
Nice.
somewhere.
We'll try to get that sorted later.
Might be as I unpack, I'll just start throwing them at you.
Yeah, no rush.
Oh, is your lease finally up at the other place?
It's up on April 1st, but I moved all my stuff here last weekend. Or, no,
Thursday.
So,
What?
April 1st. April Fool's Day. I just find it amusing when things happen on April 1st. This doesn't really.
just kidding.
I'm a child at heart, I know it.
Got like one more trip there tomorrow to clean and paint and stuff. And it should be done.
Well, that didn't work out, but we can make that work, maybe. There's going to be lots of reshaping in this future.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a tight bend for that.
Yeah, because I didn't have an even heat all the way through, so some parts bent easier than other parts, so it didn't quite do what I was looking for. Spent too much time grabbing tools, which goes back to my thing that I usually say is, make sure your tools are out and available to you so you don't pull hot metal out and then wander around the shop looking for tools. It's like a big pet peeve, and I just did it because
Do as I say, not as I do.
I wasn't paying attention. I was talking to you kids.
Costs too much to pay attention these days. Nobody has enough common sense to pay.
Been reading a lot of Far Side comics, haven't you?
Not since I was younger.
Sparkle, sparkle. Let's get these ends. Oh, well, that's not anywhere near close.
That's the nickname, Sparky.
Hey, easy now.
I'm surprised you just didn't invert it and then tap it down to get the legs to match up.
Heat wasn't where I wanted it. It would have only that spot, and I wanted the whole thing to travel, not just that section. But, you know, it's an experimental process. Let's just see what happens. If it comes out really ugly and terrible and I hate it, then we'll make an S hook or something. I don't know.
Throw it at the dilapidated chicken run and clear it out with fire.
Don't want to lose the whole chicken coop. We just need to replace the run, not the coop. The coop is still in really good condition considering it has been reclaimed by the land for the last 12 years.
Man, those chickens are big.
We are getting close.
We moved them to a different spot in the same room.
Forge, gravity check.
all of the cruisers were in that room with us. And he picked one up, and Rosha came over and spelled it and the things, and Cammy was trying to check out the things, but she's too short to see over the top of the container we have them in. Ronan is just climbing on top of it.
Of course.
He came and checked one out while I was holding it today.
Good times. What are you doing this weekend? You gonna be in town?
Probably. I think so.
You wanna do some redneck shit and then rebuild a chicken run with me?
Yeah, we can probably do that.
So the chicken run has been overcome by weeds and stuff. So I sent her out here with a bunch of tools. I was like, just pull out the staples on top and peel it off like wallpaper, and then we'll just throw up new chicken wire. Bada bing. And she's like, this beam might need to be replaced. It's all rotten. And I gave it a push, and it just like folded. Like, oh, all right. Well, what about these other ones? And I grabbed the middle one, and it was pretty squishy, and the one on the end was pretty squishy. I was like, I wonder. And I just shoved the whole thing over. Like, so it's half collapsed, but the weeds are still holding it together and holding it to the ground. So I want to throw like a tow strap through it, hook it to the truck, just drag the whole thing out and over there out of the way, and then just build a new run. Boom, it's an afternoon worth of work.
Yeah. Drop some pressure treated pine instead of whatever you use.
They use arsenic and pressure treated wood, and I don't want my chickens pecking at arsenic to put in our eggs.
Fair. That's fair.
I thought about that too, 'cause it's like, be real nice, use pressure treated so I don't have this problem. Well, that creates a new problem. And quite frankly, if every 10 years I have to go out there and cut one post out and put in a new one, who cares?
Yeah, because we'll actually be using it, so
Yeah.
we'll be checking on it pretty regularly.
Yeah, there won't be as much weeds stacked up around it, thus holding in moisture. I'm gonna get that bin hot and reset that. It's gonna be a big ass belt buckle, but it's kind of coming together.
Yeah,
Who knew?
you knew.
So if we get 5 eggs a day, 7 days a week, that's a lot of eggs. What is that, about 35 eggs a week? Is that how math works?
Yep.
Your fridge will be overflowing.
35 divided by 12, so about 3 dozen eggs or so.
Just shy of it.
Which will work out perfect because we go through eggs here quick.
We eat between 2 and 4 eggs every day.
Sometimes more than that, depending on what's for dinner.
I have a feeling you guys will be coming up with different ways to make more things with eggs. Make your own mayonnaise.
We were talking and he was
Don't say stuff like that because I'll do it. I just made bread for the first time
he's on
last
board
Sunday.
with it.
If you do that, you take the whites, you make mayonnaise, you take the yolks, you make custard. Or creme brulee.
Or eggs Benedict stuff, whatever that sauce is called.
Hollandaise
Hollandaise.
sauce.
Thank you. It's like there's a name for that, and it was gone.
Hollandaise sauce is such a pain in the ass to make.
Yeah. I was recruited at one point to make hollandaise for like my immediate side of my stepdad's family / like my brother, his girlfriend at the time. All of them. My mom was just like, do? And I was like, you see that? Put it in the dish. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, stir it and don't stop stirring it. Just keep stirring it. And I'll come over, I'll take a look, I'll add stuff, if need be, I'll add some water, whatever. She's like, okay, I got it. So I'm like trying to poach these eggs while she's supposed to be stirring the hollandaise.
Do you do that over heat or no?
Yep.
I do like a double boil.
Mm.
So I always put like a glass measuring cup in a like simmering pot of water. Do it that way.
If you got a food processor, you can take your clarified butter and get it hot enough to clarify it again, and then just mix it in the food processor. I worked at Cliff House at Pikes Peak and worked my way up to the breakfast manager, and I had to make hollandaise sauce every day because we served egg benedict, and it was also used for dinner stuff. So I had to make basically a gallon of it a day. Pain in my ass.
So, for lunch and dinner, we have lots of condiments. You know, like ketchup and barbecue and hot sauce and mayonnaise and yada yada yada, mustards and such.
Mhm.
We don't have breakfast condiments.
Yeah, we do.
If you say hot sauce, I'm coming over there.
Bring it on. Hot sauce is definitely a breakfast condiment.
And those mutants that put ketchup on eggs. The only time ketchup on eggs is allowed is if that egg is on a cheeseburger.
I typically put ketchup on my hash browns, and then I put my eggs on top of that, and then I put hot sauce on it, and mix it all together.
No.
See,
I will not be making you breakfast. You ruin my eggs like that, I'll never cook for you again.
I'll do
Is that
scrambled
why you
eggs.
stopped inviting me into the pancake house?
I'll do scrambled eggs and then like the Ortega taco sauce. It's not salsa, it's not really spicy, but it's yummy. And then it's also like salsa works.
It depends on what you're making.
Like if it's a breakfast burrito,
You're pushing it.
you're pushing it.
And there's hollandaise sauce, there's Florentine sauce.
It's so
Gravy?
gross when
Yeah.
It's
people.
like a sauce.
Like, does gravy count as a condiment? I mean, like, mayonnaise is great on eggs, so I guess that counts. Yeah.
You do
Give me,
breakfast
like,
sandwiches with mayo.
Give me like an English muffin with like bacon, egg, cheese, mayo, and egg, obviously. I love me some mayonnaise on eggs. When I was a kid, I kid you not, I used to get like a small plate and crack an egg into it, stick it in the microwave and nuke it for a minute, and then I would take bread and slather it with mayonnaise on the inside and throw the nuked egg on it and slap it together and eat that for breakfast. I used to do that all the time.
It's ridiculous.
You know what? I want
How are my breakfast sandwiches that I make for you like
breakfast
every
sandwiches
morning?
are really good.
The ridiculous part is nuking the egg, just to clarify.
Right.
I would-
Well, I was too young to use the stove, so I
My
improvised.
grandfather taught me how to fry eggs when I was fucking 5.
Well, I wasn't allowed to use the stove when I was that young.
Honestly, knowing you, that was probably a good call.
I am my father's son.
It just reminds me of kids that would be like their parents would have to work late or something, or they'd get home from school and want an afternoon snack and they'd be like tortilla chips and just slices of American cheese on top. Throw that in the microwave.
Well, what you do
Jeff
is
Like my little brother used to eat that shit all the time.
you get bologna and you give it a little dash of salt. And you throw it in the microwave until it curls up into a bowl. And then you very carefully open it back up and not burn your fingers and, learn how to swear when no one's home. And then you sprinkle cheese into the middle and then stick it back in the microwave and nuke it until the cheese melts. And then you can just roll it up and eat it like that. Used to do that all the time.
It's basically Canadian bacon at that point in time.
But better, because it's not Canadian bacon.
Apologize in advance.
I don't know, Canadian bacon would be better than bologna.
Agree.
So an old coworker of mine and friend, he jumps on the stream every once in a while. I'd love it if he just happened to pop in to hear the story. But he was complaining one time, like we used to have meetings after our morning meeting, but it would just be me and him, and we would just like jibber jabber for like 2 or 3 hours, and it looked like we were busy because our icons were red. And he's like, well, I gotta get off here, I gotta go make my kid some food, he won't leave me alone. Like, man, how old is that son of yours? He's like, oh, he's like 12. Like, why isn't he making his own damn breakfast? Like, he's plenty old enough to be using it. So he's like, no, he'd burn the house. I'm like, absolutely not. Like, you go in there and set everything out on the counter and then tell him what to do. He's like, no, he's too young for that. And it took several days where I was like, stop being a little, teach that boy to take care of himself, cook for himself. Because if you're a man and you can't cook for yourself, what are you doing? But so, yeah, one day he went in the kitchen and made his son do all the steps. He just told him what to do, pointed, do this, do that. The very next day, his son surprised him in his office with breakfast. He's like, here you go, Dad. He's like, holy shit. I'm like, see? 12-year-old kid can't use the stove or cook or anything. Like, what the heck are you doing? So I am prepping this to weld. We're pretty near there. There's going to be a lot of reshaping on the other side of the weld, so that's going to be fun. Yeah, I get this thing good and hot before So, let's take bets. This will be fun. I got to rebuild my fire here so I can prep it for welding heat because I'm running way too low for welding.
You cracked the weld 3 times, reshaping it.
That's not what I was going to go for, but I enjoy your attempt there. All right, so we got breaking the weld 3 times. All right. But my question was going to be, am I going to burn the piece apart and ruin it before I get a chance to break the weld?
No, you're not.
See, I'm not going to burn the piece?
You might burn it a little, but not enough to destroy it.
All right.
Hard on you.
I like that vote of confidence.
It's really high.
What's really high?
I was just saying that YouTube is far behind on like.
Oh, yeah, there's quite a delay.
Like 5-minute delay.
Damn. What about
What was it?
chat?
Well,
Hit refresh?
the interesting thing is the video up there is not the video shown on.
Can you see?
I need to find my cigar lighter.
I think when it.
It looks pretty cool.
I know.
Can't see his face at all,
That's
but
why I
it
kept
looks
looking
cool.
at it.
Well, I can't come over and look because
Yeah.
that does look kind of cool.
That'll make for some good thumbnails.
I'm all mysterious and stuff. Also, what's nice is something you don't often see is there's actually smoke coming out of the flue. It's usually clear air. I'm sure the neighbor thought I was burning my shop down when I started the fire because I just gathered up like 3 or 4 big handfuls of leaves and shredded them up down in there and then added sticks to it. And the moment it started, I threw the coal on top of it, but I had that big leaf fire. The whole shop was white smoke. The flue was pumping out white smoke like a steam engine. And I kept stepping out. And like after I turned on that fan, it's like this big whoosh of smoke, and he gave me a look. It's like everything's fine.
This was planned, I promise.
It's nice to be in here with the doors open and not be freezing.
Right.
I need a way to light my cigar.
Yeah, we need a
Matches. Or whatever.
niche.
Need to get a shop lighter.
You could use the one that you won yesterday.
You know, I am going to start carrying that in my pocket when it shows up, so maybe I will use that one.
Oh, my uncle gave me a nice traveling cigar case. I'm actually quite shocked that I got it home because it has a cigar cutter with it.
Well, the most you can do with a cigar cutter on a plane would be like chop off people's fingers.
Yeah. Well, you could break it and then you'd have two little knives.
True.
I have done some reading about that very thing, and from what I've read, you can carry cigar lighters through customs, or not through customs, but through TSA just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like my $45, $50 cutters, and I don't want to just give that to some punk in a blue polo shirt, like. I can't get through security following the rules without getting groped. I don't think they're going to let me through with a big old cutter.
I tossed it in my backpack and forgot it was in there and just chucked it through the scanner. And nobody said nothing. Oh, well, I got it home.
Last time I went to Florida, I considered buying one of those cheap POS plastic V cutters that are like $1.
Mm-hmm.
And throwing that in my bag just to see if I can get through. Because then if they're like, no, you can't have it, it's like, okay, have fun. And do that a few times before taking one of my nice ones through.
Yeah. I'm sure if you put it in check bag, it'd be fine, but I was shocked that I got.
I don't check bags. Never.
I only
Never,
check
never, never.
bags if I have to.
No. My
If I have
backpack.
to, I will, but generally I don't want to.
On my way to Texas in January, they made me check mine, but on the way back.
I have the
didn't
same
have
bag.
to.
I've never checked mine.
It
Going to
was-
Colorado, they tried to make me check it one time, and I just walked away.
It was a not a weight issue, but just amount of room in the overhead containers.
Yeah.
kind of issue.
It'll fit under the seat in front of you.
I don't think.
I generally
mine
do.
I've done it.
really would have.
I generally go with two bags. I got a bag for my electronics and a bag for my clothes.
Yeah, I specifically picked my travel backpack because it fits all the TSA guidelines. It's the biggest bag that matches the smallest spec, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it works for everywhere. I was flying to Colorado with somebody, and we had the exact same bag. And we come walking up, and the lady at where you check your ticket before you can walk through the airway thing, she's like, that bag's too big. You're going to have to check that. I said, no, I don't think I will. She goes, yep, you sure are. And she printed off a tag and grabbed my strap and threw it on. And I wasn't happy about being groped in such a way. But then the person I was with, she was like, oh, hey, you're going to have to check yours too. And the person just slid it off, said, okay, and handed it over to her. And while they were exchanging, I just walked onto the plane. And when I got on the plane, I put it on the floor and pushed it under the seat in front of me. And I put it upside down so you couldn't see the tag. Not my problem.
I'm honestly shocked you didn't rip the tag off and just throw it in your pocket.
I just walked on the plane, slid it under, no big deal. All right, so I'm gonna get this really hot, like a bright red, and then I'm gonna scrub it down. I'm gonna hit it with some fancy borax, and then stick it back in there and do some welding, and it should be fun and exciting.
That's all.
Because welding is like my favorite thing to do, and forging because it feels like magic.
Yeah.
What's
I've
that?
got a lot of
Alchemy.
magic left to do. How many links are over there? How many links do you have left to do?
I got about 300 I gotta make.
You're over 300 bucks.
Well, I got like 30 or 40 in that bucket.
How many people do you have on YouTube? Because you're only 3 away from hitting 300 on TikTok.
I thought I was already over 300 on the Tiki Talkies.
You're at 297 last time I looked.
Oh, 58 subscribers. I've jumped up like 10 subscribers in the last month or two.
Nice. That's exciting.
I'm doing important stuff now. I shouldn't be jibber jabbering about jibber jabber. All right, so we're getting hot. Yeah. Yeah, one of these weekends when we're not already busy with other stuff, I'm gonna go buy a bunch of metal. Probably about 200 feet. And then I borrowed a buddy's chop saw. I'm just gonna chop them off at 6-inch lengths and just spend the day out here making chain.
Well, if you're going to the metal supply that I'm thinking of, you can just have pre-cut everything for you.
Yes, you can, but I'm not going to make that dude cut 300 6-inch links for me.
And it won't be much different than his normal day.
That just seems tedious and awful, and I'm not going to do that to those guys. You know, the more I go there, I don't want to be known as that guy. Like, oh, here it comes. You're going to need 600 6-inch links again. So, yeah, I usually have them chop it down. They're 20-foot sticks.
Mm.
I usually have them chop them down into 60-inch links because then they fit in my truck.
Makes sense.
Because I have a short bed. So, that works. But I'm going to get a whole smattering of stuff. Probably get some copper, get 1/8, quarter, half, 1 inch, get a whole bunch of stuff. I'll be hosting 5 or 6 firefighters in May. Doing a class, it's a team building thing for them. So I got to buy a bunch of metal for them so they can turn it into fire pokers because I think that's funny to make a bunch of firemen make fire pokers.
Yeah. When I move down to Florida, I'll have to drag you down, have you help me set up a forge in the shop.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. All right, so we're starting to get a bit of a green flame here, which usually means you're getting very close to forge welding temperature. When you're forge welding, you want to have a white hot heat going on, and then you want your metal to disappear. When the metal gets to white, it'll kind of just disappear and you can't see it, or at least it gets more difficult. And then you'll start to see little tiny blisters and little tiny like rivers and creeks. Like you'll start to see the metal flow. Then when it starts to flow, that's when you are there. We are,
Sparkles.
we are getting very close. Get that from my phone starting.
Somebody said he's gonna come after 2 seconds.
Alright, we're very close. Alright, we're gonna take that. Oh, yeah, we got a little bit of sparkle. And you only do it for a couple of whacks, so you want to keep that heat up. Unknown number. So check with them. So I had a guy call me up and want to buy my house, and I gave him the typical like response of just swearing at him and saying vulgar things at him until he hung up. And we went back and forth, saying vulgar things to each other. He apparently wanted my mom's phone number and my wife's phone number. So I finally got tired of going back and forth with him, so I hung up. Oh, he wanted to see if I want to get into stocks. And while I was berating him, he'd be like, listen, effer, do you want to learn how to buy and sell stocks? I'd be like, F no, go F yourself, stuff like that. So anyways, I got tired of going back and forth with him, so I hung up on him. 2 seconds later, he calls back, and I answered it. He says, listen, MFer, you want to learn how to sell stocks? I laughed and laughed and laughed and then hung up on him.
Bonuses for tenacity there, I guess.
Right? Like, all right, man. Good on you. I once invited a guy that was trying to sell my house. I once invited him to do an act that would not have been fun for either of us. And his response was, ew, gross. Why would you want me to do that? Ow. So I'm pretty sure that's welded. So now I'm just going to keep it at that welding temperature and start cleaning it up. There's a little nub in there I'm going to try and get rid of and clean it up and make it round. If you work it below a welding temperature, it'll shear off. So you gotta keep in mind about that. Probably gonna have to adjust that door here soon, aren't I?
Yep. And by soon, I'd say probably like after you're done with this heat.
Let's just throw it on the ground instead of do work.
Drop forge.
Try it just checking for gravity.
Yeah, I would go ahead and drop it.
While I'm watching heat.
That should be good.
Use the clamp, the big blue one, and then gently clamp that L bracket thing right here to the rail. It doesn't take a lot of pressure to hold it. Ow. That is getting hot. And thank you very much, Levi.
No problem.
One of the guys at the shop, when I saw him get one into class, he's like, "So Jesse, using a clamp to hold your door steady. That's a pretty clever idea." I was like, "Oh, thank you very much." Wait, did you watch my stream? He's like, "Yeah." Well, that's cool. I really don't expect other blacksmiths like that I know to watch my stream. Yeah, we can clean that up a little bit more. Make it a little bit nicer. And we're gonna have to round it off too. It was also a lot of fun when I was working that weld over the horn. Every time I hit it, all that hot slag would run down onto my hand.
You had a nice big old piece running down your arm.
Yeah, it
Like
was
right
awesome.
before you said ow, I was like,
You know what would be real fun for the blacksmith belt buckle? Make a chainmail belt.
A chainmail belt. That sounds tedious as hell.
Not too bad.
I have never made chainmail.
It's like knitting for men.
Hey, women can do it too. Why you gotta be so sexist?
Because I'm an asshole.
Those things do go hand in hand.
Or, I guess crochet. Crochet is loose with the noose, right? Now, one of the things I used to do is I used to take crochet patterns and turn them into chainmail patterns.
Nerd.
Yes.
Yeah, I considered trying to make some chainmail back in my make my own lightsabers day. And a friend of mine had made chainmail, and she's like, "That's not fun." I'm like, "How hard can it be? You just hook everything to 4 other things, and then you do it until you have your thing."
For the
She goes-
European foreign one, sure.
She's like, "Yeah, but it's incredibly time consuming and incredibly tedious, and it's terrible." I'm like, "Oh, well, I don't have the patience for tedious things."
See, I never found it never took too much mental focus to get it to do right, to get the pattern down. So I put on a TV show and I do my chainmail while I'm watching TV. So my hands have something to do.
Let's just throw everything on the floor today,
I
guys.
should have taken bets on how many times Jesse was going to drop things today.
I'm just dropping everything all the time. It's only 7 o'clock, too.
How many of those cups have you had?
Well, it's just Pepsi. They're suggesting that the caffeine's giving me the jitters.
You're sugar high.
Well, that's relatively round. Let's clean that up just a skosh. And then we'll do the other little doodad bit. So yeah, we're just gonna blend up some of those lines and clean it up a little bit. It's a little bit big and oddly shaped to use on your pen, so we'll just call it a buckle. Great for your saddle, I guess.
Decorative buckle. Tell people you want it at a rodeo.
Yeehaw. Not great, but she'll buckle. So now we'll just set that aside and let that cool. And then we just gotta make our little doodad. Guess we should do some form of measuring so we know how big our doodad has to be. About there. Right at the end of that rust spot. Thank you, Rust. Bada bing.
That just kind of reminded me of seeing videos where it's like how girls measure things. And they just go up to something that they want to move at a certain spot and they go,
Yep.
I did that today.
Remember seeing a picture on the internet years ago. It was the difference between how boys and girls show off things that they made. In the guy's picture, he took a picture of the item, said, I made this thing. And then for the girl doing it, she was taking a selfie with the thing in the background, but you can only see like this much of the thing she made. It was just a picture of her face. And I was even smart and I remembered to turn down the blower so I don't toast this metal in the process. Boss was complaining the other day about how he had to break down a bunch of boxes to send them out to trash. I'm like, trash? You live in California. Like, they're going to throw you in jail for not recycling it. He's like, well, that's what I meant. I had to throw it in the recycling. I was like, I just take mine out to the yard and burn it. He goes, oh, yeah, that's real good. Breathe in all those microplastics. And as I started to open my mouth, be like, I opened my mouth to speak, he's like, oh, wait, you're a blacksmith. Never mind. Like, yeah, I breathe in a lot worse than some burning cardboard. Just can't believe that Captain Planet lied to us in the 90s. We're supposed to recycle all our stuff because plastic was infinitely recyclable forever. So, oops, I totally messed that. So I just recycle everything. All the plastics. Let's use plastic and not paper. That turned turned out to be a lie.
Yep. I was just about to say it didn't wind up on the floor.
Spoke too low. I want to get like a whiteboard and just tally.
We need to figure out how to put up a live counter on this one.
It's been one stream since Jesse dropped. He hasn't dropped anything. Oh, never mind. 0 streams. Jesse's dropped.
Drinking game. Every time Jesse drops something, you drink.
I think streams would be too much. We need to have it's been X amount of minutes since he's last dropped something.
Yep. Oh. Drop some metal. Take a shot.
I want to live.
Not responsible for the bills when you have to get your stomach pumped. Quiet you.
I was really hoping that was about to fall out. I was like,
When it rocked, it's like I'm not even trying to catch it. I'm just gonna let that one fall. That's fine. And then I push something out the other side when I'm trying to do that. What am I doing?
Stuffing things.
I don't know. Anything in the comment section?
Not recently.
How many viewers are cooking up there?
We got one other viewer.
Hi, Ian.
It's either Ian or Josh. For a moment there, we had 3, so I don't know if one person left and Josh left, or if one person showed up and then left.
Hey, viewer, say hi in the comments. Or is it just your phone?
My phone is 1. I'm counting above that.
Oh, I gotcha. So there's actually 2.
Yes.
That was funny. Some guy left a comment the other day that said, this was randomly, like, put in my feed. I thought it said decorative souls. Like, haven't figured out how to do that yet, but thanks for watching.
I mean, appreciate the curiosity though.
Right?
Yeah, I appreciate all the views from all the people. Now that the weather's getting nice and stuff, I'm going to be doing a lot more like shorts and stuff like that. It won't just be the live stream.
We don't have a million things going on.
Yeah.
I need a vacation.
You and me both.
Well, I took last week off of work, but I spent all of last week moving. Minus like Friday.
I need to find a time to build those shelves. And then go get my drill press.
That'll be fun though.
Yeah, they were going to borrow one of those like wooden skateboard things that's got the caster wheels on it.
Mm-hmm.
So then just walk it off the trailer, and then when it gets to the shop, just skate it across, like clear a path, obviously.
I think Z's got a couple of those.
Paul has some, and my drill press is at Paul's house, so while I'm there picking it up, we'll just be like, yoink. He probably won't mind. So yeah, that'll be nice and get that trash out of there. So that'll be nice to get that organized.
Josh says, "Can we get a gag reel of Jesse dropping stuff at the end of the year?" That's he says that'll be 1 million views easy.
That's
Good idea.
That's a really good idea. Somebody write that down. Good idea, Josh. But that would be fun, just to like put it to yakety sax,
Yep.
and it's just clips of me dropping stuff constantly.
Another one, see how many hours do we need a year?
That much. There you go. I burnt off the tip, but I did not. I saved it just in time. I think that's as pointy as I want to make it. So we'll do another couple of
You
heats
can do more of that.
to make it round. Thank you for texting me the idea. Gonna have to put it on the spreadsheet. Don't you fall. Don't you fall. It tried to run away from me a second ago.
And we're gonna start that video with that sound clip. Don't you do it.
Came across this thing on the old internet, as one does, but it's like, that makes sense. But it's got like 2 loops, and then when they come in, they match on a third loops on the top and then one on the bottom. Like big branches in it, and it'll help you form like a tripod.
Mhm.
So you can like hang things from it and cook. So I thought about doing like, what are they called? You know, that'll be like 1 or 2 streams or 3. And then just do a short video of putting it out over a fire and then like cooking a stew over it.
That would be fun.
I think this is gonna be way too long because I didn't account for the tapers when I'm at it. I think somebody jacked up one wall or the other on my shed.
I mean,
So when I set things down on the anvil, it just rolls off.
it makes
I mean-
sense. Like,
You set your shed down on earth. You didn't put gravel down, so I bet you did.
They're on pavers. It's not on flat earth. It's on
The
pavers.
paver, yes, but the principle's still the same.
But it's not directly on the earth, is what I'm saying. I'm just being a pedantic ass.
You didn't put any type of foundation down.
No, because that's another permit. That the city sent me a letter. You didn't pay for one of your permits. Derp, derp, derp. Now you owe us collection fees. So I called up the collection fee people, and they're like, you only owe us $38. But the letter they sent was like 150 plus collection fees. So I would go on the website so I could pay the actual license fee.
Mhm.
The website shows I'm paid up on everything. So when I get a free moment during the day when work isn't running me ragged, I'm gonna call them up and be like, you know, put on my tricorder hat, like my long blue coat, and hold my musket while I call up them on the phone. Tally ho, chaps. I don't actually have a tricorder hat.
find that hard to believe.
Me too.
Know what he's gonna be searching for on eBay later.
Right.
No.
He's going to buy the tricorn hat and the blue coat just to make that phone call.
No, I don't think I need one of those hats and coats. Because then that'll turn into like, well, I got the hat and the coat. I might as well get a period style rifle. If I got that, I might as well get the pants. If I got all that, I might as well join those nerds that do revolutionary reenactments. I don't need another hobby.
You say that now.
Trying to avoid that. I'm trying not to fall into model rocketry again.
My favorite model rocket I ever built was the SR-71.
Blackhawk?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a nerd. I'm gonna clean off that rag, and I don't have a grinder, so we're gonna do it the old-fashioned way.
My uncle got me that, and I got him the Starship Enterprise as a model rocket. We built them and then launched those off.
For a very, very short period of time, I had a Star Wars Y-wing model rocket.
Nice.
But sadly, on like the third or fourth launch, it went up like a rocket, and it got to about 30 or 40 feet, and it leveled off, and then just did this for a while, and then hit the ground and bounced. That seems fine. And then the ejection phase went, and it blew the entire parachute assembly out of the rocket, like 3 feet, and then the engine holding compartment in the back launched out the back. Like, well, that's done.
Whoops.
I just trimmed my mustache with this. My dad once launched a model rocket while standing on a frozen lake from 5 kites.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
He was a kid. He made his 5 kites using paper grocery bags. And had them assembled like a diamond, or like the number 5 on a die. And he put the rocket in the middle one on a timer, and then he went out to a frozen lake and got all 5 kites up in the air, and he's struggling to stay put, holding on to all these kite strings, and he was afraid that the timer didn't function because he flew it for a while, and then all at once, rocket launched out of the kites, setting the kites on fire, and so the kites burned to the ground, quite literally, and the rocket, ran off somewhere. And while he was gathering up all his stuff, some kid came over and tugged on his shirt and said, "Can you do that again?" He's like, "Nope." He wrote his name and address and phone number on the rocket, but never heard anything ever again from it. I've always wanted to redo that. I've always wanted to try and do a similar.
That would be a lot of fun. It'd be a lot of fun to make a bunch of dirigibles with helium and have them carry a platform.
Well, you could always get a weather balloon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get 4 weather balloons, have them hold a platform in the middle, and launch rocket from that.
I just figure like weather balloon with a box with all your normal telemetry stuff and cameras, so you can get the really cool high balloon altitude high altitude balloon photography stuff. But then also below the box would be the rocket on a string flying up with.
It's gonna hit your balloon.
So the string gets cut, rocket falls for 3 seconds. The balloon's gonna drift off. The rocket's gonna do whatever, then take off, and then you put telemetry data on it so you can see how you can get that rocket.
You use tree, and then when the balloons pop, have that trigger the rocket motor. See if you can get it.
Oh yeah, I think it'd be cool. And apparently people have done it before. So I've always wanted to do one of those high altitude balloon photography projects where you launch your cameras up and all that stuff. And I always thought it'd be cool in the box, put a few cigars.
Mhm.
So when you recover it, you can smoke cigars that were in near space.
That would be pretty cool.
But here's my problem. I don't want to be the lead on that project. Like, I want somebody else to take the lead and do all the math, and then just let me build parts of it, and then collaborate. I don't want to be the leader of the project.
Understandable.
But yeah, get like a GPS tracker that works off GSM. Get one that's also going to transmit over ham radio. Get some cameras. Throw some cigars in there. Send it up, and then spend the day chasing your balloon. And hope that it doesn't land in like a tree or something that you can't recover it from. Or like those poor guys in England. A ham radio club in England was going to do a low altitude balloon that carried a transmitter, and it was supposed to go like over there, and then they're going to recover it, and hooray, we sent a ham radio up in the air on the balloon. Well, things did not go as planned. The balloon got sucked up into a slipstream and then got yeeted across Europe. Like, it made it over to the mainland, and it turned into this whole thing where ham radio operators were like, hey, I just got Roger beeps from it. I'm in Poland. It's like, what? And they accidentally broke the world record for longest, like,
That is awesome.
whatever. Like, they really pulled a home run on that one. Like, it was really fun to, like, they were updating Reddit with updates from it and stuff, and there's this big thread, and people were like, hey, I just saw it, blah, 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 or it just pinged my radio, blah, blah, blah. It was a fun day. It was a slow day at work.
Slow day at work, fun day on Reddit.
That was back when I worked for Motorola. So most days were slow days. That was like the coolest job. If I could have that job at my current pay, that'd be like the best thing ever. I would go like cartwheeling down the stairs on purpose and go skipping to my desk every morning. But that equipment doesn't even exist anymore. Like if you go to the Dayton Ham Radio Fest, every once in a while you'll see one pop up out in the swap meet area, like the yard sale area. I was walking around one time and I saw one sitting on a table. I was like, holy shit, it's a canopy radio. And the guy looked up, he goes, you know what these are? I'm like, yeah, because I got a couple of them, and he had boxes and boxes and boxes. He had several dozen of these radios. It's like, holy crap, dude. Like, that's awesome. Like, if you ever need the firmware for those things, I've got it. He's like, oh, years ago, after they stopped supporting it, they just released all the firmware. Yeah, it's going to come out way too big because I did not account for tapers. But what are you going to do?
Loop it around the bar and then cut off the end.
Yeah, that's pretty much the plan. But I'll lose my taper, so...
It means you redo the taper.
What if you loop it around more than once?
You know, it look weird. Weirder.
Gives it character.
That's certainly not something we're missing here.
Just because you are a character doesn't mean you have character. Name that movie.
No idea.
10,000 cool person points if you can tell me what movie that's from without looking it up. I'll give you a hint. It's the best movie this director created.
According to
Tells me
him.
nothing.
And many people had the movie poster hanging in their dorm rooms when they were in college.
Okay, but when you were in college or when we would have been in college?
Still don't
Before
know.
me and me.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
American Pie.
Tell me who the director of American Pie
I
is.
have no idea.
Exactly. Like, nobody knows who directed that movie. I can start throwing out hints, but the only hints I can think of is going to give the movie away immediately.
I don't know, my movie repertoire is rather limited, so.
Yeah, engage in your own culture once in a while.
Why don't you give it a try? Give us another hint.
Bruce Willis. Uma Thurman. And the director himself makes a cameo.
Not Die Hard's.
Anybody in the chat throwing it out? Well, we can't trust people in the chat because they probably looked it up.
Not yet. What was the one where he was over in Europe?
At one point in time, Bruce Willis picks up a samurai sword. I can't give any more details because it throws no.
I don't know enough of his movies to say.
One of the characters, when we're introduced to the character, has a band-aid on the back of his neck. A minor character, this one should give it away. A minor character bought food from Big Kahuna Burger.
Okay, so not in Europe. No idea.
I thought that one was going to give it away.
You thought all the other ones would give it away too.
No, I was being a jerk with the Bruce Willis and the Uma Thurman thing because I knew that those two characters, those actors don't generally work together. Somebody drinks a Sprite and calls it a tasty beverage, I think. But he definitely refers to the burger as a tasty burger. A minor character is named Honey Bunny. We meet Honey Bunny in a cafe.
I haven't seen enough Bruce Willis movies to.
It's not a Bruce Willis movie, though. That's the fun part. He's a minor character. He almost wasn't in the movie.
I almost want to say Expendables.
One of the characters' names, not the actor, but the character, is named Jules.
Kill Bill.
No.
Believe it or not, you're close.
Is that the right director?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Tarantino.
I haven't seen
One character asks another character if they speak English in what?
see. He says Pulp Fiction or What's in the Box. Josh.
He cheated. I'm sure he looked it up, but it's Pulp Fiction.
That makes sense.
How did we even get on?
It's so long since I've seen that movie.
I remember what we were talking about before we got on the guessing game.
Somebody quoted, or you may have quoted.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, I did make a reference to the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I suck today. Sorry for all the viewers of the stream.
All the what?
The viewers.
What do you mean?
I've been terrible about remembering cameras.
Have you been staying on camera 1 or 2 too long?
Well, camera 2.
Good movie.
It makes me think of eye tests. 1 or 2. 1 or 2.
Better.
I need to get a new set of glasses.
Me too.
Let's see if I got there.
Same.
I want my contacts back. At least for sometimes.
You don't want to be twinsies with my dad anymore?
Except for sometimes.
I used to wear contacts all the time. The worst experience I ever had is I had a hair curl up underneath the contact. My hair's pretty long, so it covered the entire thing. I pulled the contact out, and there's just this white ring that spirals out.
Mine got stuck on my eye once.
He said he didn't look it up. It took me until the mention of the Big Kahuna burger.
See, I thought Big Kahuna would give it away. That is a tasty burger.
I haven't watched Pulp Fiction in at least 20 years.
And I think the last time I watched it, if I watched it.
Oh, he has a challenge for you now.
Oh, let's hear it.
He says, name the movie starring Tom Cruise as a sports agent. A notable quote is, "Show me the money."
Oh, come on, Jerry Maguire. Give me a hard one. Come on. Tom Cruise annoys me just as a person who exists. But damn, I love his movies.
How about this? Historical fiction movie. The quote is, "We didn't start that fire." And it has reference to some of the conversations we've been having today.
Historical movie.
Historical fiction. Yeah.
So are we talking historical fiction like Django Unchained or like Tombstone or something like that?
It's a bit more realistic than that. It's historical fiction because they took some liberties with it, but it's based on true events.
Give me more.
Let's see. The father of the main character is a coal miner.
Oh, October Sky.
Yep.
We didn't start that fire because they thought the guys had launched one of their model rockets that started a fire at like a mill or a...
It was just in the forest nearby.
And they said they didn't, and they put the kids in handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the blonde chick from Jurassic Park is like, "Why are these boys in handcuffs in the school?"
Yep.
And so Homer Hickam does the math to prove that his rockets never made it that far because he does all the fancy math. So then they're like, "Let's see this rocket." And they pull it out, and the wings are spring-loaded.
Yep.
Like, that's nothing we ever made. And the principal's like, "No, obviously not, because that's a flare."
It's not just a flare, it's a train flare.
That's such a good movie. I watched that movie like 900,000 times when I was younger.
That's one of my favorite movies.
The book was really good, too.
You
I need something smaller. I'm gonna think about that for a second. Ooh, you know what we might be able to do? Yeah, such a great movie. Oh my god, October Sky. Dang. That movie. So, one of the science teachers, I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it. One of the science teachers that everybody hated, he was a very difficult man, and weird as hell. He told a story one time that he's only been drunk once in his life, and he woke up with the worst hangover, and it was the most pain he had ever been in his life, and he never understood why people would put themselves through that, and he never drank alcohol ever again. And he had these really cool filters that were like super ultra amazing filters, and he wanted to go about testing it to see how much, like what wild stuff he could filter into pure water. And he grossed out everybody in class because he admitted to peeing through the filter and then drinking the water that came out. And he said it was pure water. He even did testing on it to prove that it was. And then he drank it because the testing showed that it was perfect. So why not?
Wow.
And then after that, this might work. He went over to his neighbor's house and asked to borrow a couple of beers. And then he ran the beers through the filter, and it came out pure water too. So that was a fun. So he's a weird guy. What was my point? Oh, the point being, he had lots of model rockets hanging from the ceiling, and he had them lined up on a shelf, and he had such cool rockets. And then watching that movie 700 million times, and also being in the model rockets, I asked him, like, so do you ever launch these rockets, or are they just collecting dust, or what? He goes, several years ago, some students approached me about it, and so we formed a little model rocket club, and we would build those and launch them, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, so, like, how many guys do I need to get together for you to reopen that club and make it a thing? He goes, really, you want to do that? I was like, heck yeah. He's like, all right, get some guys together and we'll make it happen. And so sure enough, we formed a model rocket club, partially due to the inspiration from that movie.
Nice.
Jesse, why didn't you have many friends in school? Well, you see, that didn't work. I'm gonna drop this computer. Hey, Levi, you wanna hold that down? Thank you. That doesn't count.
Chalkboard.
You can run away with that. You can take that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Give it up for my lovely assistants, folks.
I'm no Vanna White.
Neither is she. But yeah, that was fun. Great Homer Hickam story. I love this so much. This person posted to their Twitter, I just got accepted to a job at NASA, so all you people, kind of a post. And somebody replied and said, hey, let's watch the language, please. And he's like, I work at NASA now. The person who replied, Homer Hickam.
Yep. And I think right after that he replied, no you don't.
Yeah, he ended up losing, I think it was like an internship or something. And he ended up losing his internship over it. And then after letting him sweat for a while, they found him a different thing at NASA. So they didn't, ruin their chances at NASA, but it certainly didn't help. That might work. Hey, can I borrow you again?
Sure.
Because I don't have my vise yet. So if you'll just hang on to that and keep her real good and steady. Actually, we're going to have to go nestle her right down in there. I'm going to have to make that longer. Never mind. So that's what we'll be doing here in just a second. So yeah, that's still warm, so be careful. But what we'll do is I'll get my piece hooked in there, and then we'll slide over the anvil, and I'll close it up, and bada bing. Yeah, we're just gonna do it that way. So yeah, good movie. Did Josh come up with a hard one?
No, not yet. I have a couple movies that I really love, but now I'm drawing blanks on trying to remember memorable quotes.
Alright, you wanna come back over here? I don't know how we're gonna do this. Here, go over the hall. Yeah, get my little hammer out.
Could just hang it over the edge and then you come up and over.
Potentially. We're not hot yet.
Here's the best I can come up with. Movie starring Russell Brand and Jonah Hill. The quote is, "Just keep stroking the furry wall." I know this one.
One more time, a little slower.
Movie starring Russell Brand and Jonah Hill. Quote is, "Just keep stroking the furry wall."
Oh, get him to the Greek. Not because I know the quote, but because that's the only movie those two people have done that's notable. Well, the only movie they've done together, I should say. Much dragging on there. Yeah. See, I went too small again. Yep, we're not gonna work with that. I'll get this eventually. I think I'm gonna make it bigger and do like an L shape, and then what we just did is just massaging it over. Last time I made one of these, this part was the big annoying part.
Oh, he said they were both in Forgetting Sarah Marshall too.
Jonah Hill was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
It's been forever since I've seen the movie.
Oh, he's the he works at the hotel and he does a mixtape and he tries to give it to what's his face to do it to Russell Brand. He gives it to him trying to like self-promote so he can be a music artist too. Oh, good call. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, that's a fun movie.
I don't think I've seen either of those movies.
I've seen Get Him to the Greek. I think I may have seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall, but I don't remember.
I didn't care for Get Him to the Greek.
I liked it.
Oh, wait a minute. Did Jonah Hill also work in Arthur with Russell Brand?
I'm not sure.
All right, here's a fun movie reference. Jonah Hill, the quote is, "Ask me about my wiener."
No idea.
And he's dressed like a hot dog. It's a great movie. The main character does a very enjoyable rendition of Blitzkrieg Bop. I love this movie. I haven't watched it in forever, but it's such a good movie.
I have that scene in my head, so I know I've seen it.
That's not enough.
That's too small.
Yeah, I was trying to work with what heat I had, but
He said, I don't think so. That was Judi Dench.
oh, for Arthur. But yeah, ask me about my wiener.
It's
It's a college movie. The main actor is also in a movie with Bruce Willis.
That doesn't help me because I don't know what's in the Bruce Willis movies.
But this is like, it's a Bruce Willis's biggest series of movies.
So, Die Hard?
It is a Die Hard movie. I think my favorite Die Hard movie. But I'm also not a big Die Hard fan anyways.
He said no, the movie he mentioned is Accepted.
Ask me about my wiener. And the main character is the I'm an apple, I'm a Windows commercial, and he was in the fourth Die Hard movie as the nerdy kid. What's that guy's name? He's also in Zack and Mary. He's got the weird deep voice that's the only thing.
Seth Rogen?
Nope. Seth Rogen's in that movie, but that's not the actor. He dates Jessica Day, and she chokes him.
Like in New Girl?
Yep. Justin Long. Josh Long. Justin Long?
Justin Long.
Justin Long. That's his name. Took me a second to get there.
I don't remember choking him.
They're trying to be, and she comes on a little strong. He just like grabs him by the throat and like literally chokes him, kind of thing. Da 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 da. Doobie doobie. Is that piece still hot?
No.
He was in the Mac vs. PC commercials. Also,
I'm on over.
Live Free or Die Hard is by
really
far
gonna
the
go
best
try.
Die Hard movie.
All right, we're gonna do one more heat and then bring her home. Well, there was a meme online where it was like, I'm Mac, I'm a Windows, I'm a Linux. And then in the last frame, well, it starts off, I'm a Windows, I'm a Linux. And he shows up, I'm a Mac. And the final frame is the Windows and Linux guys beating the hell out of the Mac guy. Like, I can get behind that.
Yep.
I like my Macs. Pretty sure Jesse's gonna go crazy. His household's being overrun by Macs between the one that he still has and the 1, 2, 3, 4 that I have.
Yeah, as long as I don't have to touch them, I don't care.
To be fair, 2 of the 4 are for work.
I still didn't grab enough. God bless America. Still didn't grab enough.
Well, can you keep back of it and then fold it over forward rather than trying to redo the hook?
Like, I want it to go back and then come around so it looks nicer instead of just like looping it over like a candy cane.
Fair enough.
We're just gonna have to grab way more.
No, he is not using a Mac at his current job. Pretty sure he'd kill himself.
I asked every job I've started since Silera. In the beginning, like right after signing the offer letter, it's like, wait, are you gonna send me a real computer or are you gonna send me a Mac? I'm not doing that BS again.
We apparently, not since I've been on our IT team, we have apparently had people ask for Windows, and my boss is just like, fuck no. Not doing that. Sorry for the language.
Yeah, when I worked at that company that sent me the Mac, we're just gonna go ridiculous. I'm gonna go way too much, and then be like, so
Magically, it's still not doing that.
well, what I've failed at this 4 times now to get it looped in there, right?
Well, you got the weld on the first try, so.
Yeah, I'll take that as a win. But yeah, I worked with that Mac for about a month or so. And I called up my boss and I was like, can I have a real computer, please? Like, can I just ship this back? Or ship me a real computer and then I'll ship this one back so I can still work? And he's like, you know, we used to let new hires decide, you know, choose what they wanted. He goes, but then we just ran into support issues and like we couldn't get, you know, it was harder to support multiple. I'm like, look, I've been doing this long enough. Any problem that pops up, I can fix it. So I'm not going to need any support. I just hate Mac. He's like, sorry, you're going to have to get used to it. I made a decision. We all use Macs. Like, this is dumb.
Probably because it's the only user-friendly thing he's able to work with.
Are you suggesting that Windows is not user-friendly?
It depends on how far you want to get. If you wanted to just do base things and work with programs the way they are, Mac is more for you. If you want to do anything besides work in an Adobe program or a video editing software and surf the web, you don't want Mac.
Yeah, I don't want Mac at all. I want nothing to do with it. I hate the interface. I hate the philosophy. I just hate everything about it.
Not enough.
It's grotesque. You want to do a bunch of video? Get a Mac. I don't care. But if you want to like have a real computer, get a computer. I mean, the preference would be let me have a laptop that's got RHEL on it.
Mm.
And then, like, everything in Microsoft is web-based now anyways. You want to open a web, like a Word document? Opens in your web browser. You want to open up Excel? Opens in a web browser. You can use Teams from a web browser. You want to bring that over there? So just give me a Linux box. And I'll do all my Microsoft things on the web. Alright, so now we gotta do the conjiggering. It's not pretty, but it's a buckle nonetheless. But it's certainly an idea that has legs.
Quite literally.
Boom. Buckle, as it were. So, yeah, for being an experimental process, I think it could work. This being my first one doing it like this, it's a little rough and a little ugly. But I could certainly tune that up and make that look nicer on the next one. So there you go. Probably jump to camera 2 and show it off there all fancy and stuff. We say we get her hot and give it a wax seal because why not? So when you're doing a wax seal, you don't want it to be bright red, you don't want it to be yellow. So you get a good black heat. And a lesson I learned the hard way, because I don't think things through sometimes, is if you're gonna put wax on a piece, don't hold it up like this and rub the wax on it. Because wax, when it gets hot, it turns into liquid and it will run down on your hand and burn the heck out of you. So always hold the piece below your hand, not above. I guess I could have went fancy and did an oil finish on it, but my oil's in the driveway. In a can. It's not just like spread across the driveway. At the shop, he was doing an oil finish on a thing, and when you do an oil finish, you have to leave it in the oil until it's completely cooled down, or at least, just warm to the touch. Because if you come out of the oil hot, it's going to ignite all the oil that's on it. And this new guy, it was so funny. I'm not going to say his name, because if you happen to watch, I don't want to call you out. But nonetheless, he stuck this piece down in a big oil drum of oil, and he came out too fast, and it ignited the whole top and launched a fireball at his face. He went, "Oh fuck, Jesus Christ!" really loud in the shop. He went walking over to the oil thing the other day to oil finish something, and just before he got to it, I yelled that out, and he started laughing. I went a little hot, but it'll be okay. And I'm doing it below my hand.
So Josh is asking how many more live streams before you stamp your channel logo onto the belt buckle and make it look all fancy?
Well, that's a very good question. I used to have a nice touch mark with my logo on it. And then I lost it.
Yeah, it was in a box over here, wasn't it?
It used to be in my toolbox. But I took it out and stuck it in my pocket one time when I was working on it, knew I'd be needing it. I don't know if it fell out of my pocket. At one point I thought I put it in the console of my truck. But yeah, I can't find it. It's nowhere to be seen. So I'm gonna have to order another one. And then I had another one. I bought them at the same time. That was just my initials. Stuck that in my pocket one day. And then it jumped. So I'm gonna have to order new ones. But hey, this is fun. This is a good time for the plug. At Custom Blacksmithing in Atlanta, Indiana, this coming Thursday, our class will be making touch marks.
Right.
So we'll probably just do our initials on the touch marks, no logos or anything, because that's much more difficult. So yeah, if you want to come out to the shop, we'll be making touch marks, and it'll be super fun. There we go. It's a little misshapen, a little ugly, but the process seems to be perfectly viable, so I'll give that another try.
And do it a couple more times. Bend out the kinks.
Yeah. I think going 8 inches was a bit much, probably go down to 6. But yeah, I think it works out.
I don't know, if you squared up the front a little bit to where your legs, your sides are more parallel and it's not so much a triangle, I think you'll use up a lot of that extra space.
Potentially, yeah. So I wanted to do a D-ring style. The last one I did was square all the way around.
Yeah, well you can still have it rounded, but have the legs finish out parallel, so your curve is just a larger radius than what you got right now.
Sure. Lots of different variations and options. Like I said, the very first one I did, I made it perfectly, well, almost perfectly square. And then I cheated and I tack welded the corner because it met up with one of the corners. I just tack welded that and then put the centerpiece in there. But it came out way too small. And it was a test piece. What I've been wanting to do is make one out of wrought iron and then etch it. So then you could see the grain pattern in it. It looked really cool. Last time I tried working with my wrought iron, I think it's really low grade rod. because I get it to the right temperature and smash it, and instead of squishing down and like stretching, the different layers would just separate, and then it was constantly coming apart. So I'd have to check it back, re-weld it, try and stretch it out, and it'd separate again. It's like Brittany was hanging out with me that day. I worked on that piece for probably 3 hours trying to just get it to shape up right, and it just hammer, hammer, hammer. Oh, gotta re-weld it. Hammer, hammer. Oh, re-weld it. We're done here. So there's our buckle. Hooray. Other plugs, Coyote, Metal Co., DB Forge, From the Mold, Sharp Bend Forge, Daniel's Real Estate, BrimstoneForge.us, and Bookish and Beyond on the old Instagrams and Yetzies, or Bookish and Beyond US as well, if you want to be cool like me. The shirts will be going up on the website very, very soon. And next week, sometime during the stream, I will say what the coupon code is for 10% off. First 10 people to get to it, get 10% off. I haven't decided what that coupon code is, but I'll mention it somewhere in the middle, just for fun. Any more comments from our friends online?
Nope.
Well, thanks for coming and joining us. Any of you guys have any final words?
Nope.
Cool. Well, I think what we'll do is go ahead and shut it down. Remember, check out BrimstoneForge.us if you want to see me make something or want something specifically on the store. Shoot me a DM, email, whatever. Find me. I'm pretty easy to find online. And just let me know. We'll try and work out something. So until next time, we'll see you next week on the same Forge